We are live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Arden Kwen, and today we are talking about how to find your impact, releasing emotion through your voice. And I've got some really great tips and tools to vocalize feelings through sound. And this is important because this is how we connect to the audience. This is how we bring impact. And without that impact, there is no singing career, right? So some tools that I want to give you today to pull that audience in and create that impact and that connection. The first thing is no more show and tell. So what do I mean by that? No more show and tell. You've probably seen singers who are in the show and tell. It's let me show you how I'm feeling. Let me show you my beautiful voice. It's very broad. It's very surface level. It's not connected to anything real. No more show and tell. The thing that helps you to vocalize feeling through sound and impact that audience is not in the showing, it's in the being. It's in the beingness of that emotion, of that story that you're telling, of that performance. So it's kind of a tricky thing to notice or even be able to tell if you're in the show and tell versus in the beingness, because oftentimes singers are so just used to that show and tell that they don't even understand what it feels like to actually settle into themselves, their own vulnerability, their own emotions, and be able to let that guide the voice, let that guide the performance. But it's very different to let yourself, and I keep using that word to let yourself settle into the truth of a real emotion that you're having, than to try to just show me as the audience what you're doing, right? And so it's about being with your song, being with your emotions, as opposed to broadcasting them in a way that doesn't feel quite as authentic or connected. And so in order to do that, in order to find that authenticity, so you're not in the show and tell, and instead you're in the beingness of what you're singing, you have to learn how to connect to those emotions. And you guys, emotional connection comes from the specific. The more specific you are in terms of understanding the emotional state of the character singing your song, or the emotional home of where you are. For example, if you're a songwriter, when you wrote that song, and going back to that, you have to find something to relate to, something specific to relate to personally in that song, or else it's going to be show and tell. You're not going to be being with those emotions in yourself. And so, for example, if the song is about losing a parent, let's say, I don't know, it's the first thing that came to mind. If the song is about losing a parent, if you've lost a parent, then you have something very personal and very specific to tap into, to be able to connect to that song in a very specific way. Now, if you do not have that experience, if you have not lost a parent, most of us have lost someone or something important to us in the course of our lives. So even though you may be singing about the parent in the lyrics of the song, your internal emotional connection is going to be running that subtext in your own mind, in your own connection about the, let's say you lost a partner. Let's say you lost a home, other things that are important to you, that you can tap into that feeling of loss and grief personally. The audience isn't going to know that you're thinking about the partner you lost or the home that you lost. Grief is the same, loss is the same. So it's being able to give yourself something specific to tap into personally that will allow you to be in those emotions, actually be, as opposed to showing and broadcasting, which is not the same thing, okay? Which means if you're going to be with those emotions, then you actually have to allow yourself to have those emotions in front of an audience. And often that can feel incredibly vulnerable, maybe even too vulnerable to be seen, truly feeling and being in that grief, in that emotional state, right? Your mind might have a belief that it's unsafe to be seen being that vulnerable, that it's safer not to go there. And so you'll go to the show and tell. But the show and tell doesn't have the same impact on audiences. We're not drawn to that in the same way. So you have to counteract that belief that it's safer to just not go there. And so you have to ask yourself, how is locking myself down and not letting myself feel and not letting myself be seen, feeling this emotion, the least safe thing that I can do right now in this moment on stage or in this audition or in this recording session? How is not letting yourself go there the least safe thing I can do? Because if you don't let yourself feel and be seen, being that vulnerable feeling, then there is no connection with the audience, zero connection. There's no emotional connection flowing through your voice to them. And without that, your auditions won't break through the competition. You won't make recordings that people want to listen to over and over and over again. And people will come to one show and they will never come back for any more because there was no impact. You didn't move them because you were at arm's length. You were showing, not being with those songs. And then it doesn't come through your voice. And so audiences, they're not going to spend their hard-earned time and money to keep coming back for more. They'll come to one show and they'll be like, yeah, it was cool. And then they will never go back. The ones whose shows we go to over and over again, the one whose recordings we listen to over and over again, the ones who get the gig from the audition, they're the ones who move us, who make that impact because they are willing to be seen with those emotions. And that's what moves us. And once your awareness gets that, then you realize how easy it is to find that emotional truth and just let it shine through your voice and your energy in every performance. But listen, I know that this might feel easier said than done. Where you're like, yeah, Arden, it totally makes sense. I totally get it. And then you get in that moment in front of the audience or in the recording studio, and it just, body's like, nope. Mind is like, nope, not it. Like, I get that you might intellectually get this, but in the moment, there are often so many blocks and so many patterns that can get in the way of shifting your awareness to that ultimate belief that it is safer to be seen being vulnerable than it is to continue to lock myself down if I want a powerful singing journey and singing career. And that's why I work the way that I do in our intensive training program, because often we're just too close to see our patterns and how they're affecting our voice, our technique, our performances, our ultimate success on our singing journey. This is why it's so important to have somebody being able to mirror these things back to you and being able to gently poke you and gently prod you and ask these doubt-inducing questions when somebody says it just feels too vulnerable, like it feels unsafe. And I go, is that really true? Is you continuing to play safe here really the safest thing that you can do in this moment? Is it safer to continue to play small and lock it down and have a mediocre, if not successful, singing journey or career? Or is it safer to learn how to build that safety within so that you can be that vulnerable and fully be seen in those emotions so they travel through your sound, through your voice, the audience receives them, and they want to come back for more every time? I don't know about you, but I'll take option B. In the long run, that is safer because that gets me what I want in the long run. And so this is why I work with singers the way that I do. This is why we work with singers in the intensive program on skill set and mindset at the same time. And so if you're watching this and you're resonating and you're going, I know I need this. I've watched Arden for a long time. I know what she's talking about is true. I know what she's talking about is what I need. But we've never had a call before to talk about where you actually are in your singing journey, where you want to go, the gap between the things that are stopping you, so that I can share with you the step-by-step process that we take our singers on to shift all of that. Then, oh my gosh, don't be shy anymore. Get on my call calendar. I'm putting the link to book a discovery call in the chat if you're watching, or I should say in the comments if you're watching on Facebook. Okay. Let's see. Why do I not have a comment thing on Facebook? That's really weird. Okay, well, I will put it in the comments as soon as I end the live. You guys will have it right then and there. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's already in the video description copy, the link to book a call with me, because I'm going to put it the same question, right? How is continuing to stay where you are and training the way you've been training that isn't addressing any of these issues? How is that the least safe thing you can do? It might be scary to get on a call with me and talk about all these things, or it might be scary to be like, oh my God, I don't know if I can, like, shift all this. I'm going to be your hardest case yet, Arden, or maybe I don't believe that I could find the time or the investment or the energy or the schedule or whatever to shift this. And you know what? Like, your transformation is only as strong and as possible as you decide it's going to be. Singers have moved mountains to be able to get the help they need to have the life that they want. And the same is possible for you, but you have to know first where you are, where you want to go, and exactly the steps that are necessary for that to happen, which you probably think you know, but if you're not where you want to be yet, then you probably are having some blocks or some misguided ideas about what needs to happen. And that's what we're here to find out. And that is what the discovery call is about. And I will share with you how we take our singers from A to Z to be able to land big auditions, make full-time income doing what they love, make recordings that get millions of plays. And if you want our help to do that, then I'll show you what that looks like. And if you don't, that's okay too. We can part friends. But do not sit on the sidelines any longer. That's my invitation to you. Because if your emotion is going to come through your voice, then you have to allow the instrument to let that happen. And that's what we're here to show you how to do. All right, you guys, have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. And I will see you guys next time.